Welcome to episode 4 of Dual Boot Diaries, the weekly podcast where two longtime Windows users see if they can make the switch fully over to Linux. I am one of your co-hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
And I'm Will Smith. Each week we go through our experiences of using Linux daily, with the whole show culminating us either deleting our Windows partition or Linux from our computer and moving on with our lives.
Yeah, this week I give an update on my travel adventure with Linux and my final choice on the distro I'm going to be going with for the foreseeable future. And Will, you tried out Gnome. You installed on the desktop. You did a lot when I was gone. You
were gone for like 2 weeks. We had recorded ahead for folks who haven't been listening or whatever. So now we're caught up. We're recording this on the Friday. I guess
we're recording on a
Wednesday when it's supposed to go out on a Friday.
Yep.
It's not Friday. I thought it was Friday today. Anyway.
Not yet.
I got up this morning and I woke up a little bit early and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put Linux back on my desktop computer, and surprise, the call is coming to you from inside Linux.
I'm looking at your camera feed. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't look different, but it feels different. I can feel the Linux all over you.
Look, I'm awash in free software right now. I'm just basking in it. Now, can I control my lights? Absolutely not. Can I adjust my camera in any way, shape, or form? Probably not.
Not yet.
Did I just barely, did it take me a while to get Slack installed so that I could get the link to the Riverside call that we're using to record this? Longer than I care to admit. But here's the thing. It took a lot less time than it took to get Linux running on my laptop a month and a half ago when I first did that before the first episode of the show. So
nice.
I'm learning is the TLDR.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to learn. Not only that, I was in Germany and I was at a store. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like a convenience store, if you will. And they have, over in Germany, they still have a very strong magazine culture. So on the aisle over there, I was looking for technology. They had PCWorld's German counterpart called PCWorld. Mm-hmm. And then I looked over, and right next to it was Linux Welt.
Wow.
So this is a fine property, I think is owned by us. I'm not quite sure. Who knows? But or at least licensed by us, but essentially a magazine of Linux world. Not only that, most of these magazines still come with a physical disc.
I was going to ask, does it come with the disc? Because that's the real tell for a Linux magazine.
Well, all the magazines, even PC Welt, still came with a disc as well. So there was actually 2 versions. I just got the normal one with 1 disc. There was an extra edition with 2 discs.
Wow.
And that one came with 4 distro installs, which if you're not looking at the video feed, the front of the magazine actually has like 4 thumbsticks printed on the front, even though it's an actual disc.
Wow.
But it's a Canonics Slowfire 32-bit Puppy Linux Bookworm GRML 2025. Sorry. These are special. Sorry. The extra edition came with special software. The normal edition, which I got, came with 4 distros: Debian 13, Fedora Linux 42 KDE, Odwin OS 1.3, and Open Media Vault 7.4. Maybe that last one's not a distro, but yeah.
It's
hot reading action.
As somebody who used to be the editor of a magazine that shipped with a disc every month, I will tell you there's 2 wonderful things about the disc. Is one, that in the days before broadband internet, it provided a lifeline for people to get demos that were too big to download over a modem and get software that was hard to get otherwise. They also let us charge about 3 times as much for the magazine as we would have if it didn't have the disc.
Nice.
And it meant that the magazine came in a bag. So it meant that people couldn't stand at the grocery store and read just the bit of the magazine that they wanted. They had to pay the $12 for it or $10 for it or whatever it was. So
that's funny, because over here it's in a little flap. So I could still read.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I didn't learn anything from this magazine because it's all in German.
That's weird.
My Deutsch is nicht sehr gut.
It's a Sprachen.
So, yeah. But I did like the ad on the back for a company called Tuxedo. I've heard of them, and I don't remember. It looks like they're based in Germany, but they have a Fractal Terra case, the jade green one. So yeah,
Okay.
they're showing off some cool
That's a-
PC desktop Linux usage.
Hot PC.
Yeah. So yeah, no, unfortunately I didn't learn anything from the magazine, but that's okay.
When was the last time you really
learning.
learned anything is the question.
True. No, I learned a lot on this trip. I learned a lot. I'm excited to talk about it. Do you want to start with your homework, or you want me to get into it?
I mean, let's see. I think your trip is the thing I'm most interested in, so we'll hammer through my stuff pretty fast.
Okay.
I did a fair amount of reading. I hope to get the Linux install done on the Windows machine before on my main desktop.
You mean your
machine,
physical
rather,
desktop?
my physical desktop. Before this morning, and time has just not. I've been really busy on other projects, so I couldn't risk the downtime involved until this morning.
Right. Yeah.
And then I just did it. So I had a previous Cachy partition. I deleted that from inside the live ISO installer, and I decided that I didn't like the way Cachy partitions the machine by default, because it does a thing where it has, like in the old days when you installed Linux, you would install a root partition, you'd make a swap partition. The swap is like the Hibernate file on your Windows machine.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, not that. It's like a paging file on your Windows machine.
Page file.
But in the modern era, it's also used for hibernation. So like on a laptop, you kind of want that so that it'll do the S3 to hibernate sleep, right?
Got it.
It also, you would typically do a home partition that's separate. So your home partition is kind of where all your stuff lives, and you want that independent of the OS partition, right?
Yeah. When you mean stuff, you mean like your files, folders, all like anything that on the Windows side you would associate with like downloads and documents and
It's like your user folder, yeah.
videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's confusing because root can mean like the administrator user for the machine, but it also means in this case the lowest level of the file system. So like that's where / is mounted, is on your root file system, right? Like the highest level of the file system where var and opt and home and all that stuff mounts into is you're looking very confused right now.
Yeah, you're losing me on some of these names. var.
Okay, so
yeah. We don't need to get into it.
But it's kind of important. It's like, imagine your so imagine if instead of your my computer, instead of mounting each drive as a separate thing, imagine like the my computer folder is the very highest level of your file system, like the closest you can get to the top level of the drive, right?
Oh, okay.
And then inside that, instead of saying, oh, okay, this is a drive and this is a CD-ROM and this is a network share, you just mounted stuff into that my computer folder. So there's a folder that was like /C drive and a folder that was /Windows and a folder that was, and those could all be different partitions on different hard drives spread around your computer.
Oh, like a different partition. Okay.
Yeah. So what you used to do, and what kind of advanced users do, is they'll mount their home folder separately from the folder that contains the rest of the OS, the partition that contains the rest of the OS. So
okay,
like,
yeah, you've talked about this before. Okay.
Yeah. So like what I did was I set up my home folder, the /home on the file system in Linux, on a separate partition that's like significantly larger. And then the root, just the base level of the file system, is on like a 50 gig partition on the same SSD. And then I also did the swap file so that Hibernate will work right, and did a second boot partition so that I can do what's called the boot shim, that I think we're probably going to talk about next week because I don't really understand it quite yet. But the idea is, like, one of the hard things about dual booting is that Windows, when it doesn't update, sometimes will just wipe out all of the that you use in your Windows partition, in your boot partition to boot Linux. And so this just says, okay, we're going to boot off of a Linux partition that Windows doesn't know about first. And then Windows will hand off its business. I mean, that Linux bootloader will hand off to the Windows partition that just works like normal.
Wait, so you're dual booting on your desktop on the same drive?
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, you have other slots for M.2 drives, right?
They're all full.
Oh,
Adam. Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
like,
Okay.
so I have one 6 terabyte like array thing that's basically it's 3 2 terabyte drives, and it's all the it's got like game dev stuff takes a ton of space. So I have a couple of different studios game projects on there, and they're each like 450 gigabytes or something ridiculous. So like I kind of need a big giant chunk of space there, and I'm using Windows storage spaces for that, which is bad for a whole host of reasons. But like that is impenetrable to Linux. I mean, there's a driver. Oh. It's real scary. I read the things about the driver, and I was like, oh, this is a bad idea. I think he'd be better off moving these drives to Btrfs and then installing the Windows Btrfs driver than doing. So anyway, mission critical stuff I didn't want to mess with is the TLDR.
I guess was it the previous episode? Now I can't remember because it was a couple weeks ago. Was it the previous episode where we talked about like dual booting? I think we did, where I was like, you know what, I'm only going to dual boot on separate drives in one system now.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised that the coward's way out. If I recall.
I'm surprised you're willing to go through that, man.
Look, I'm just getting in there. Let's do it. I backed everything. It's also worth mentioning the reason this took a long time this morning is because I backed up the whole 2 terabyte drive before I started. So
it's always good to back up.
Yeah, did a mid-level full image of the thing. So anyway, so I'm running on Linux. I'm running on Cachy right now. I'm doing Cachy on both. I think I want to set it up so that I can sync my home folder between the laptop and the desktop, which will basically give me the same machine when I power up. Because my apps and the files and all the stuff that I'm working on will just come across using whichever cloud syncing provider I end up using for this, probably Google Drive, because I have a bunch of space there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's where we're at with that. And then the other thing is I put Gnome on my laptop, which...
Yeah, because I had been talking about it, and actually a friend of the show, I guess, somebody who should know us in our ecosystem, Brad Shoemaker. I was talking with him recently because I saw him physically in person.
Yeah.
And he's been listening to the show. And he was like, you know what? I think I'm with you. I think I'm a Gnome guy. And then I did ask him, I was like, well, do you pronounce it Gnome or Gnome? And he's like, no, it's 100% Gnome. Everyone else is wrong. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
He had strong opinions about it. But yeah, you wanted to try it out.
So yeah, I looked at it and I was like, man, this looks really good for a laptop. And I fired it up. It did the thing you're not supposed to do, which is... the recommendation is that you just reinstall the OS if you want to switch from GNOME to KDE or whatever. Mm-hmm. I didn't do that.
So I mean, it's the same thing I did too. I just installed it. Well, that was back in the early days of me messing with stuff.
Yeah, so I did read the homework. I read the basic guide for what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
And if you want to do the bad idea thing. And it worked out pretty well. I haven't completely uninstalled KDE yet. Okay. Let me start at the beginning.
Please.
I love that it has built-in like gesture support and things like that. It seems to be built for trackpads on laptops, which is a delight because KDE almost certainly is not. You can get trackpad gestures by installing some stuff manually and jumping through some hoops, but it was... like I kind of looked at it and I was like, this is more involved than I want to fool with, I think. And at least for right now, until I'm committed to this life. I love being able to 3-finger swipe up from the bottom of the trackpad and go to like their kind of multi-desktop thing. Their multi-desktop support seems fabulous. It's pretty bare bones out of the box, but I spent some time with extensions and got more or less what I want out of a laptop OS, I think, in terms of like how the window manager works and how you launch software and all that kind of stuff. And like, I was really, really pleasantly surprised by it. It seems really good.
So yeah. And to back up real quick, because some people might still be confused, or I'm talking about myself. So the distro is Cachy.
Yeah.
The desktop environment is Gnome that you had switched over to from KDE.
Yeah.
And the I actually don't know the name of it, but the thing that actually powers it is either Wayland or window manager is either Wayland or Xorg.
X11 or Xorg, which is an X11. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So do you know which window manager it is? Wayland or Xorg?
The beautiful thing about this is you don't
whatever.
actually have to know that. Uses.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's actually been something I've been working on literally this morning because I ran into an issue with that. So that's why I'm curious.
So I think I actually don't know what Gnome uses. Wayland is the kind of more technically advanced one.
Well, by default, at least from what I've heard, by default, Gnome is going to use Wayland.
Usually, some of their environments use X11 still.
Yeah, and also you should be able to hit your login screen and manually switch between them.
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
Wayland is the default Gnome display server. So yeah,
that's probably what you're running, right?
It moved fast. Like to me, Xorg always feels a little chonky, even on nice hardware, and I didn't get any of that. I did get some weird holo mirroring on a couple of apps that behaved weirdly with it. For example, Discord. When you hit Discord, it doesn't full screen. Like when you full screen Discord with the full screen button, it doesn't actually full screen it, and it just leaves like rendering artifacts in about a 20 pixel border around the edge of the app. It behaves like it's full screen otherwise.
It's really weird. Yeah, I saw it yesterday. It's hard to tell or hard to show an example. Maybe we can flash something up on the screen, but
I'll grab video of it.
Do you know why, or have you figured that out?
Haven't spent time on it, honestly.
I guess my first question would be, because once again, I'm like still learning all this stuff, that it might matter how you installed it. So do you remember which way you installed Discord?
Yeah, so I used AUR, the Arch Linux user repository.
Okay.
And I installed it. It's an Electron app. So it's the AUR port of the default Linux Electron package that they made for Ubuntu or Fedora or one of the other Linux variants.
Interesting. Yeah. So I just wonder if maybe that's what it's related to.
It turns out I hardly ever full screen Discord, so it's not really a problem. It works fine when it's snapped. It works fine when it's floating in a window. It's just when you hit the maximize button. So it's probably some weird Wayland bug, but I don't know. It's like less of an issue. Now, what I do want to say is a couple weeks ago, somebody recommended Paru, which is a unified package manager. Arch has multiple kind of places, like all distros have multiple places you can get applications.
Yeah.
And Paru keeps track of the stuff you get through Pacman, which is like the main repos for the OS. And you can connect to Arch repos, you can connect to Cachy repos, whatever. It also manages the AUR stuff and will update it for you. So if you type Paru and then nothing else, it just updates everything on your computer, which is fabulous if you're running a rolling repo and like to live dangerously, as I do.
Huh. Yeah. Well, okay. How do you spell that? P-A-R-U?
P-A-R-U. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Only applicable to Arch distros, I think.
Well, and so you tried Gnome. My next question is, what did you put on your physical desktop here that you just installed?
So I'm running KDE and Cachy on that. And I chose KDE because the deep research that I did over the last week led me to believe that the Proton, since this is a gaming machine, in addition to other things, the Proton compatibility layer that lets Windows games work well on Linux seems to work best on KDE Plasma. So that to me says I'm stuck on KDE Plasma on the desktop probably. Although I'm sure, like, part of the reason I did the home folder separately is so that I can more easily experiment with different Linux distros. So I can save my home folder. It gives me a place to dump the stuff that I want to keep from one machine to the next, from one install to the next, and then wipe that system partition.
Wait, so you think it is distro hopping? You're gonna get in?
I'm gonna do some experimentation. Like I'm always open to experiment.
Some distro dabbling.
I have a lot of distros on my Ventoy key right now. Let's just say
distro tasting.
Yeah,
I don't.
We need a tasting menu.
Yeah.
This is like, we could do an event. Like if we wanted to do a live event for this podcast, we could set up a bunch of machines with different distros on them and just let people go and futz around with them like a roadshow.
Oh, actually, that would be nice.
Yeah. So yeah, like the TLDR is that Gnome is a big thumbs up on the laptop, especially. So far in the 45 minutes it's been working now, the desktop Cachy install went remarkably well. And then the last thing I had was to investigate Linux for the stream machine, and I haven't actually done any movement on that because I'm on a 9 series Intel box right now.
Because you have a 2 PC setup for when you're streaming. One plays the game, the other
Yes.
one handles the encoding.
Yeah. And the benefit of that is like if the game crashes or the machine shuts down or whatever, then the stream goes on, and it's nice to offload that work.
That makes sense.
But it does require some stuff like capture cards, and because you pipe an HDMI output from your gaming PC into that streaming machine. And it turns out internal PCI Express capture cards are just really poorly supported, with the exception of Blackmagic stuff on Linux. So the Blackmagic cards, wide support.
Which, I mean, we do have some actually in the office if you need to borrow some.
I mean, I have a Ultralink, which is a 4K 30 is the only problem. It's a little low frame rate. And they don't support like screwy gamer resolutions. So if I use a 1440p monitor or something like that, they don't support those resolutions. What is supported almost universally are external USB-C, like 3.2 and 3.0 capture cards, because they use the UVC standard, which is just a normal part of the USB spec. And so there's no weird driver support required. You just plug it in and it shows up in OBS. So I think that might actually be my path for that. Because like in a perfect world, that stream machine is basically just an appliance PC. It has you turn it on, it boots straight into OBS, it gets all the back end stuff that you need, and then you hit a button on a Stream Deck to turn it on.
Wait, you don't want to subscribe to Game Pass on that system?
This may surprise you, but
Microsoft Office 365?
No, I'm probably okay. Thanks, though, Adam.
Okay. You don't want to back up to Windows whatever the new thing is?
Look,
OneDrive?
The Stream Elements monthly subscription is a great opportunity for all streamers, and it gives you access to a collection of templates for your Twitch stream that I'm never going to use, so probably not.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's it. That's it for me. And I did the Dropbox thing, which we talked about last week. I did figure out how to use the Dropbox client. YouTube user Barangal had said, "Cache." They suggested that I use Paru originally, which is fantastic. They also suggested I look at Yay, which I haven't done yet. And basically, I was able to install Dropbox from AUR using that, which was really easy. And then I put libappindicator-GTK3, which the Dropbox client prompted to, so that my tray icon showed up like it normally does on Windows. I also was able to figure out how to get the Discord manual update thing that fires every time you start Discord in the morning when it's like, hey, man, your client's out of date. You got to do a new one.
Oh,
you can put a skip_host_update :true in the Discord config file in .config/discord. And then it only pops up when it actually isn't allowed to connect anymore, but not when it's like one version off. So yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Things are going well.
So do you think that's going to be weird to have you bounce between GNOME on the laptop and KDE on the desktop?
I don't think so. I mean, I think like I have a long time, for a long time, I used a Mac for work and a Windows PC when I came home to do games and podcast stuff. So there's not a lot of difference, right?
True.
It's actually even less difference because at least it's the same software. But we'll see. Well, I do want to test GNOME with the game stuff at some point. I figured my strategy is to use the path of least resistance to start. And then once I understand that, then move on to the more complicated stuff.
Well, yeah, because I feel like other than like which distro to pick, I feel like which desktop environment is like the other hotly debated thing in the Linux community. So I actually want to hear what people choose. Like if you leave nothing other than the word KDE or GNOME, just to kind of get a temperature of what people do out there. I really think it's like such a hotly debated thing, right?
I honestly, I think it's probably more important than distro for most people, right? Because it's the interface for the computer. Yeah. Whereas yes, in practice, choosing a rolling distro or a long-term support distro or something else is going to be equally impactful, but you're not going to feel it in the same way that you do when you're like using your desktop UI. So,
well, and like I mean, what we've been doing this for, a little over a month now or something. Like it is weird to look back to where I was there because I didn't know the difference between that. I thought like how it looked was an actual distro thing. I didn't realize that you could change that independent from the distro. So yeah, in some ways, it might even be more important, right? Like
I think
people
so. Yeah.
have that one is very much on taste, where the distro is on like, how soon do you want things to update? How willing are you to live on the edge kind of thing, where like, yeah, the desktop environment is pure taste.
Well,
and like I said, then the next step, the window manager thing is still that is still a little more nebulous in my mind.
Well, so the window manager thing is kind of downstream for most of these, right? Like it's unusual that these work with multiple window managers. It's only because a lot of people have software that requires Xorg and doesn't work on Wayland, and because like the window managers are a really complicated piece of software, it's taking a long time to build. So like we're in a kind of in between time right now, is my understanding. Now, the weird thing is that like you might end up choosing a distro because they use the desktop environment that you want, right? Like you might choose Ubuntu Cinnamon because you like Cinnamon, or you might choose Fedora because you like the version of KDE Plasma that they ship or something like that. And you can work around that, but like you should pick based on the thing that you think you're going to use. Like I've been looking at tiling window managers lately, which look really weird and interesting, and like they feel kind of weirdly programmery in a lot of cases. Like honestly, the thing that doesn't exist that I kind of wish did is just a list. Like I wish that there was I'm sure there probably isn't, I just haven't found it, is a YouTube channel that's just like, hey, here's a quick tour of window manager X, right? Here, desktop environment X. Here's a quick tour of Gnome. Here's a quick tour of KDE Plasma. Here's a quick tour of KDE Plasma on Wayland. Here's a quick tour to kind of show you what the metaphor is, because like I think this is the thing I think you didn't understand early on, and it's weird, but like we think about like Windows as a metaphor for desktop OSs and Mac as a metaphor for desktop OSs, but then there's a whole bunch of much weirder stuff down here that we can get into if you really want to get into the weeds with it.
Yeah, which I mean, and actually I have been racking my brain and planning the videos that I will put up on the PCWorld YouTube channel about this kind of stuff. Like I talked about this on the Full Nerd yesterday, but like there is one video in particular, well, two of them. One of them is breaking down the terminology, which like, yeah, like I have never found like one easy, quick place to be like, okay, here's the terminology you need to care about and what it means kind of thing, especially in relationship to Windows, where the other one's like, I really want to make a video that would have been me. This is the video I wish somebody would have made for me, like essentially giving you some of this basic kind of stuff. Somebody recommended, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who recommended it, but there is a channel that I've actually been binging a lot that deals with just Linux stuff, and now it's Learn Linux TV. So you like he'll make a new video when there's like a major distro update or a new flavor or something, or a GNOME update. Like I have seen some of those. He gets into real deep stuff as well, but he like I definitely have been happy by some of the stuff he does over there.
That sounds great. What was the channel again?
Learn Linux TV. I think, it's just at Learn Linux TV.
Cool.
Really cool guy. And it looks like he's been doing this for a while. He's at over 1 million subs. So
that's awesome.
I can't remember who recommended it to me, but yeah.
I have one last note.
Please.
I didn't find out why my KDE wallet didn't pop a taskbar window, but it's not an issue anymore because I'm using the Gnome wallet now.
Oh,
thanks, Gnome.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, problem solved.
Problem solved. Just switch the the desktop environment.
Upend everything. It's probably fine. So how was your trip, man?
I mean, other than the trip itself, the trip was good in general, and moving into it, I can't remember how much I had settled on before we recorded, but I ended up taking a Lunar Lake based Samsung laptop. mostly because that's actually the laptop that I've used for the past 2 trade shows so Computex and CES. I already had Windows configured on there. Everything I already needed was already configured. All I needed to do was throw in a second drive, which that laptop does support. I think it's like a Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro, I think.
Okay.
I had to guess. It's 16 inches, real thin, real light.
32 gig Lunar Lake, I assume?
32 gig Lunar Lake. Yep.
Okay.
The original boot drive, I think, was a terabyte or 2. And then I saw that, you could actually install a second drive. And so I put in, I think, maybe a 500 gig or 1 terabyte. I can't remember.
There was a day the week before you left where you were grabbing all the laptops off the shelves and opening them up to see which ones could take a second SSD.
Yeah, and there were laptops that I really wish I could have taken, but this one just made the most sense. So I grabbed that one. The first Linux distro that I put on there was Ubuntu or Ubuntu. Ubuntu.
This is your Bavarianing again here at a high level.
Yeah, Ubuntu. Thank you. So I put that on it, and I will say that's kind of the first note I want to talk about because I'm pretty much all in on Ubuntu. Ubuntu.
Yeah, you're down with everything except for the name. It sounds like
down everything's the name. I've messed around with Cachy. Pop OS has been awesome. Like I still have a soft spot in my heart for Pop OS because that's literally the first one that I've been using heavily. But as I've been distro hopping, like that was the theme of the last episode, I have tried a lot of them. And actually I did install another distro like in the middle of my Germany trip because people kept talking about Fedora. Like
people love Fedora, man.
Yeah, well, and the way that people have been describing Fedora to me was that it's like halfway between Ubuntu and Cachy, where it's kind of pushes the kernel updates quicker or something. I'm still learning that whole rolling distro kind of thing, but it's not as bleeding edge as Cachy. So like it's from what I found, it seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of people who are doing work and gaming. I didn't do any gaming on this trip. I just wanted to do work. So that's why I went with Ubuntu, and I've used enough of it now that I'm like, I don't know, just by default, it's my jam. I like it for everything from the desktop environment, the Gnome, to just, I don't know, some of the extra features that they have on top of it. It kind of by default has everything that I've wanted. I have dipped into doing a couple of extensions and things like that. But yeah,
give me an example of a feature that you really like.
Like compared to, and I'm not going to, this isn't trashing on Pop OS, or anything. It just in Pop OS, because I think it's an older kernel, older Gnome, stuff like that. It just, when you go into the settings menu, there's just not a ton of settings to mess around with. I think the last time I talked about like fractional scaling and stuff like that, and it's just like, man, why is that not in there? At least on the newer version of Ubuntu using the newest version of Gnome, like the settings that I would want in there, like the natural scrolling, the like desktop kind of features, the dock, being able to configure just some of these other things in there. Once again, the fractional scaling is just in there. And actually on that laptop, it had an HDR toggle as well. I didn't use the HDR, but like it was just, some of that stuff was just built in.
This is on Fedora?
No. On
this is on Ubuntu.
Yeah. Well, and actually it was on Fedora as well, because I was using the Gnome version of Fedora.
I need to get the fractionals. I need to figure out, I need a list of your extensions, because the fractional scaling thing is making me a little crazy on the laptop, because it's a screwy resolution, and like the scaling jumps are really, it's pretty limited on Gnome. That almost was enough for me to punch out at the beginning, actually, because it was the jump from 125 to 250 or something, or 200%.
Oh, yeah. But like, and the same thing with Pop OS, it was just 100 or 200.
Yeah.
Like, like essentially, but no, like with the newest versions of Ubuntu and Fedora, I think it's a Gnome version thing. I think they're on 48 or something. And so by default, it had the fractional scaling toggle in there.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know which version of Gnome you have on that laptop, but
I'd have to go grab it to see. I don't have it right here in front of me.
So yeah, I feel like, and I've gotten a ton of comments, people like in YouTube were just like, dude, why, like, come on, like you're like learning too many things at one time, and
you got to commit, man.
I mean, I get it. It has been really fun to just dabble. I've learned a lot by quickly absorbing a bunch of different things. And honestly, it has taught me like the difference between, hey, a distro is not locked to the desktop environment, like we talked about earlier, things like that. So like, I'm glad I've done that. But like out of all the ones I've tried, and sure, I mean, there's dozens out there, right? Like I haven't tried all of them, but of the major ones people have talked about, Ubuntu is just the one that I'm like, oh, okay, I could see myself living on this for a while. So I'm going to commit to this for now. I actually will talk about it a little bit in my homework. But I did like Fedora. I will say that like Fedora was nice. I don't know.
Honestly, the thing that's interesting to me about Fedora is that they have a handful of immutable variants, which like, you know, for folks who don't remember immutables, where the OS is basically on a read-only partition, and you do all of your work in the home folder, right? Everything gets changed in the home folder. It's how SteamOS works. It's I think how Bazzite works post like an update a couple of years ago, and the idea is that you get the benefits of the rolling distro with the new support, but they lock down the distribution and updates to new images every once in a while. And then, you know, you're not like the opportunity for you to jump in there and mess something up. It requires some actual effort for you to jack it up, which is nice.
I do appreciate that. Yeah. Like I liked Fedora enough that I was like, okay, if I wouldn't have picked Ubuntu, I think I would have picked Fedora, but I think I'm going to stick with Ubuntu here just to see what it's like to stick with one for a while, but that
Makes
probably
sense.
will be in my next one. Also, it was the other part of trying Fedora was that the installation process, I was like, wait, this looks really familiar. Oh, I did the same thing in Bazzite. I think Bazzite is a fork of Fedora.
It's a Fedora Blue
or something.
fork, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I had already seen some of that stuff when I had installed Bazzite on my RGLAX. So like, yeah, I had some familiarity around it. I think where the default stuff in Fedora, like not having a dock, and I know this is when I started to look into extension stuff, because there was dash to dock somebody had recommended if I wanted to add a static dock to my screen. That's just part of Ubuntu.
They ship with that.
They ship with that. So, you know, I don't know. Would you call that an extension if it ships with the distro?
Well, I think it
or
still
is it
uses
just a built-in extension?
I think it still uses it's still an extension, right? Because it's like it uses the extension infrastructure. No, but it's like if it's just pre-installed, right? So it's like it's like, is it I don't know if there's a Windows equivalent necessarily, but yeah, the idea is I think it's still if it uses the extension infrastructure, it's an extension, whether it's pre-installed or not.
It's in the settings, in the main settings. It's not even in the extensions application.
Well, but like, so that's one of the neat things about Gnome is it has that extensions plugin infrastructure that then lets you add new things to the core GNOME apps, right? Yeah. I'm continuing my trend of saying it GNOME one week and GNOME the next, just to make people as crazy as possible.
Yeah, so by default, it was a little weird that Fedora, the GNOME version of Fedora, that there's no dock. Like to get to the dock, you have to swipe up or enter the. I don't know what they call it. The pro like.
It's like the Win plus tab. It's like the. It's like almost like it's a combination of Expose and the app list on Mac OS. It gives you a view of all your open windows and lets you see the list. If you keep scrolling up, you see all the list. You can scroll a list of installed applications.
There's a dock at the bottom there.
Yeah, and you can also swipe. So you see the running applications on the dock, and you can swipe to the right or left, I guess, to get a second to see like virtual desktops if you want to do that too. The virtual desktop support I haven't spent a lot of time with yet. It feels a little wonky what I did, like in that it like virtual desktops are tough because you always want them to behave in a predictable way, and sometimes the way I would expect them to behave, and the way the people who write the software that makes the virtual desktops behave, and the people who write the apps that work on the virtual desktops all have different like feelings. Like for example, I think
That's Linux, baby. Right?
Well, it's Windows. The same problem happens on Windows, where like I want to have one video editing desktop, right? That has Premiere and my audio editor and DaVinci and Media Encoder. But then sometimes I need the audio editor open on the other desktop, and like Adobe doesn't like that. And the same thing seems to be happening here off and on. So I don't know. Virtual desktops may be too much trouble.
I also did quickly install Linux Mint, poked around there.
The world tour, man.
I mean, I had my Ventoy drive, and so it was literally during the train trip. I took a train from Berlin to Munich, and it was about a 6-hour ride. Actually, really nice. Ooh. And so I did some work. I did some video editing, and then I would be like, oh, you know what? Let's install another version of Linux. I was hoping the lady next to me would just look over and be like, oh no, what is that guy doing?
He's hacking the train.
Yeah. So I did a lot of that. So yeah, that's one part of my adventure, is that I feel like I'm finally over the distro hopping. I'm ready to commit to Ubuntu.
Well, and I mean, look, here's the thing. It's never going to be easier for you to try another distro than it is right now, right? You have less invested in your setup and getting everything working the way you want and all that. And the time to be willing to wipe stuff out and start over again is right now. That's not going to get easier the more time you spend on this. But at the same time, I'm glad you're going to start digging in, because I feel like it's funny. I had done this distro hopping thing. I've done this distro hopping thing multiple times over the last 25 years, right? I did it when that issue of Boot magazine came out that included, I think, Slackware and Debian on the disk. And I tried both of those. I was like, oh, this is unusable. And that was in 97 or 98, probably. I did it again when I decided what version of Linux to run for a maximum PC feature in like 2004, where I used Linux as my desktop OS every day at work for a year. And then I dressed up in a penguin costume at the end of that and was fed real fish by my boss. So that was weird.
Okay. Weird.
I didn't actually eat the raw fish. They just dangled above me. And anyway, it was a weird shoot. I feel like, I did it when I set up servers, right? So I felt like I knew what I was looking for in a way that probably, like, my past experience let me know what I was looking for in a distro when I started out here. And I looked at what was available and out, and I was like, I'm going to try this new thing. This seems pretty good. And I've wanted to learn Arch for a while. I think you taking this time has been really good. And I think it's really exposed some things that I haven't thought about in a really long time as somebody who does a lot of command line Linux, but not any desktop Linux at all. And it's been fun to watch. So I'm glad you're, but also at the same time, I'm glad you're at the end of it, because I think you're about to hit a whole new world of exciting stuff to talk about.
Well, and that was the other part that maybe I haven't made clear, is that, like, in my needs, like sure, there's some visual stuff that comes along with Gnome, and obviously Ubuntu has some of their own stuff built in, like the dock, things like that, usability features. But also I'm like, I do things in the command line.
You said do.
Yeah. But I am also trying to say, okay, could you use this operating system without ever diving into that? And I actually do think some of these ones, like Ubuntu, would, like, I could do that. Like, never dive in. There's applications for additional drivers, for the application manager, things like that. So I feel like it has a lot of those things where I'm not having to go into the terminal. I'm only going in if I want to, which feels okay for me as such a noob. So
you seem to be getting a little more comfortable with the terminal, though.
Yeah, and maybe too comfortable in some ways. Like I'm just like, what? Let's see, because I mean, that's the other thing too, is like, worst case, I'm still not super invested in anything. I can just wipe and reinstall. Yeah. And honestly, that's one of my biggest things that I'm going to talk about in my standalone video that I wish somebody would have told me was that, you know what, it's okay. Just mess around with it, because at this point you can just reinstall.
Yeah.
Like it is so easy to reinstall. Like I'm so used to reinstalling Windows, which is a pain to get back up and running, I feel like, or at least more of a pain than Linux, that it's like, oh no, you know what? Don't be scared, because reinstalling is super easy with the way I have it. So yeah, that's helped me get comfortable a lot.
On that front, because like one of the benefits of installing software from the command line is that somebody told me this, and I think this was in the Discord. I don't remember who it was, but they were like, hey, you can use your package. You can use Paru on your Arch repos to just generate a list of all of the crap you've installed on your computer. And then export that list and import it into another machine to set up the exact same machine state that you have on that one. Now, obviously, if you're running like AMD graphics on one and Intel graphics on the other, and NVIDIA graphics on the other, you got to make some small adjustments there. But like, that is a fantastic resource for getting stuff like your password manager and Dropbox and Discord and Slack and Notion and all the stuff that you use on the day-to-day up and running in the same way that it is on the other machines. I'm like, I think there's a argument for portability, like the way Linux works in terms of file system and app installs and all that stuff means that it's much easier to have a desktop laptop kind of sync situation than Windows has ever done for me. So anyway,
I dig it. Well, you got to subscribe to OneDrive. Come on, what are you doing?
Okay, it's been a great show. Thanks for coming by, everybody.
Well, and so the other thing, the actual work part of it. So that was what I was a little more worried about, because I'm going to a trade show. Like there's work that I need to get done. I felt like I didn't want to mess around too much when I'm kind of in the thick of things. I just want to get stuff out. And yes, this was a more chill trade show compared to others. And, you know, it was just me. Like I only had a set number of meetings, which, you know, I did as many meetings in those 3 days as I would do in one day at a normal trade show. So things were, you know, less stressful that way. But also at the same time, I was actually shooting my own video and I was editing my own video. Now, I didn't need to. I could have like threw the video back home for those guys, but it was also with the time change and I bumped up against the weekend. I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can edit some quick vertical video. So I didn't need to rely on it.
What were you using to edit?
Premiere. Okay. So, I mean, I do know DaVinci. I know. Yeah. Well, I do know DaVinci. We are a Premiere house. Yeah. So we have, like, I already got a bunch of templates, you know, like we have like shared project, files within Adobe, like cloud kind of based stuff. So like it would have been more work to try to set me up in DaVinci. It's something I do want to visit later. I will be visiting it later. But once again, for this work environment, I just wanted to do something that we've always done that was just easy. So yes, unfortunately, I was in Windows for most of the time because I was editing video, I was editing photos. I needed to feel comfortable with my setup at a trade show, and I was only dipping into Linux when either A, it was something that I knew I could just do in the browser, like emails or whatever, or B, when I had some downtime like that train trip where I was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to go do some stuff in here, or, you know, install a different distro. So yeah, I don't feel defeated, but like I was hoping I could be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do a lot more work in Linux, but I don't know, like it's hard to describe. But like when you're in those trade show environments and you just need to get the work done, like I didn't feel like was comfortable enough in Linux yet to try to make it work. So,
well, I mean, it's very much a, hey, you got to go fast situation, right? There's no, he's
sorry, my cat is
he's very upset that you're
I mean, he's upset that I was gone in Germany for so long. He's just like, dude, you're reminding me.
That's true.
You're gone way too long.
It's true. But I mean, yeah, so even when you're at a chill trade show, it's still working bad hours and constantly like you don't want to take I get why you would do this. I also have to say I've tried to install Resolve before, and it's a pretty involved process getting Resolve running on Linux if they don't make a specific package for your distro and window manager and all that stuff. So yeah, but that's on my list for next week. So I'm gonna get in there because I need to get a video editor going.
Yeah, I mean, one other small little thing, I can't remember if I talked about it or not, but on this specific Samsung laptop, the audio driver would not connect with the speakers. So when I was in Linux, I couldn't use the speakers at all, which for the most part, it didn't matter, but there were times where it did matter. So I was just like, I was like, all right, well, between all these things, I'm just going over to Windows and just doing my stuff.
It's so weird what works. Like the audio labels in Linux are one of the things that are really constantly screwy, right? Like my Motu has 4 ins and 4 outs, and I see 2 outs in the Motu. And then I also get,
which is an external audio.
It's a USB audio interface. Yeah.
Interface. Yeah. Like a ADC. So audio to digital converter.
Yeah. Analog to digital converter.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But I mean, audio is analog, I guess.
Yeah.
But then it has 4 line ins for each of the 4 for the 2 front line ends and the 2 back line ends. It's like, it's super weird. And it's always a little bit of a process to figure out which is which when you're doing this stuff. And then invariably I load up something and rename the labels and then it gets manageable again. But like, is it more annoying than Windows re-enabling every disabled audio device every time I install an update to Windows? No, probably not. But it is a little bit frustrating. So,
yeah. Well, we do have some questions to get to and some homework. I mean, the homework for me, I'll just go over quickly, is like what does it take to go all in on Ubuntu? Like now that I'm in there, like what am I going to do now that I'm comfortable to just have it sit there and have it be where I'm going to live? Like, are there other extensions I want to mess around with? What is, I just don't know. Now that I'm committed, how do I make it my home? So the other one is that I think I'm ready to graduate from the System 76 laptop. It's been awesome, but I need a little bit more power. Also, I do want to try to see what it's like to have a discrete GPU in there for a little bit of acceleration, especially if I'm going to do some video editing. Which is one of the reasons why I reach over to the fine folks at Lenovo. They sent me over what is this? This is I have it right here. This is a Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 7. So this has a Intel Core Ultra 7 165H, which is Meteor Lake based for the processor, and then it has a NVIDIA. What is it? Like it's a Pro.
So
it's like
5080, I think you said, mobile?
No, not this one. Oh yeah, so it's the NVIDIA RTX 1000 Ada generation laptop GPU. So it's on the real small light end of their professional laptop GPUs, but it's enough to do some more processing grunt. It's a 16-inch laptop. It's got a full keyboard. I mean, these.
You love a full keyboard on a laptop.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't have the full 10 key. Actually, now that I look at it, so I am a little bummed by that.
Unusable.
But the keyboard is comfortable, and also it does support 2 boot drives. So it comes pre-configured with Ubuntu. Yeah. Which I've actually had to do some things to upgrade. Like it actually came to me with.
Adam updated his kernel yesterday.
I know. Yeah. It was 22. it shipped with me like 22.4 or something like that. And then I was like, oh wait, that's old. Okay. What does it take to update a kernel? I haven't done that before. So I updated that. I actually updated the NVIDIA driver as well. I found a really nice tutorial to show me like I listed out the devices that were in there, zeroed in on the NVIDIA GPU, and then was able to list out all the different drivers and then see there was one that was recommended and install that one.
Now I'm going to ask the scary question.
Please.
Did you save at least a link to the tutorial that you found to do that so you can find it again in the future?
That one was pretty easy. It was the YouTube video is literally
it's always
called
pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I'll have to do that. But yeah, no, I'm curious to just go down that route. The other part of it, which, yeah, I'm not into it yet, but I did reach over to the fine folks at Framework. So they are sending a 13-inch laptop, and I do have this new Strix Halo desktop in as well. And I had this stupid idea.
Oh, you shouldn't say this one out loud yet. You should save this one.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to say this one.
But just say Adam's stupid framework idea, and we'll remember what that is.
Yeah. And luckily, we actually are going to next week. We're going to go record some interviews down at the offices. They're based here in San Francisco, so I wanted to talk to them about Linux, but then also their new
other stuff too,
updates for laptops and things like that. Also, the last major thing I want to try out, which a lot of people have recommended, is an application called Winboat.
What is that?
Which is essentially virtualizes Windows in Linux in an easy way, I guess. I don't know. I haven't messed around with it, but a lot of people are like, hey, listen, if you have to use Excel and you have to use Photoshop or something, Winboat is one of the easier ways to get that up and running.
Oh,
I don't know what that means, but there's enough people have told me about it that I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I should try it out.
Okay, so I had try out WinApps on Linux, which somebody on Bluesky recommended. It was Triff on Bluesky recommended WinApps on Linux. I haven't had a chance to get into that yet, but I'm going to try that as well. I assume it's a similar situation. They said it lets you run Microsoft Office, and they've been using it on Pop OS. It was not easy to get it running. They had to build some stuff from source, but once it's been good apparently so far. So I'll try that out. Cool. I want to get the snapping working better on my Gnome install, which I think is going to be involve some extensions. So I love that Windows 11 snapping feature where you kind of highlight over the maximize button and it gives you a pull down preview that lets you do 1/3, 2/3, 1/3, or that's math doesn't math, but you know what I mean. 25%, 50%, 25% split on vertical columns or a quad or whatever. And I haven't found that yet. I also want to do the Paru package list thing. So I want to do that to keep my packages installed in sync on the laptop and the desktop. And then I'm going to try to install Resolve this week. That's that and the ongoing, the bigger projects are, can I get Resolve running on the desktop, and can I get the Stream Machine? I want to explore the Stream Machine running Linux more. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in the existing hardware, if I'm going to put a second SSD into that machine, or if I'm going to just grab some hardware from the lab and build a test machine to do that with, because there's pros and cons to each of those options.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do want to get to a couple questions.
Yeah. We had a bunch of questions. We're caught up now. So
yeah, well, I mean, thank you, everybody. If you have a question, I mean, I am reading all the comments on YouTube. If you don't want to use YouTube and you just listen to the RSS feed, just go over to there's a link in the description to go over to our Discord for the Full Nerd, because this is a part of the Full Nerd network of shows. And we actually have a questions channel in there called DBD questions.
Wait, I thought that was for Dead by Daylight questions.
No. Dual Boot Diaries.
Oh, wow.
So abbreviated DBD questions. Now, some people have, I think, just seen the name because it was originally written out Dual Boot Diaries questions. And I think some people just saw the name and started chatting in there. which is partially why I condensed it down to DBD questions so people could clearly see this is only for questions. If you want to chat about a question that somebody had already posed, then you can create a thread and chat in there. But please, it is only for questions. The rest of the chatter, please go up to the Linux channel that we have. A lot of great help in there. I'm constantly pinging those people with really dumb questions and getting a lot of help. So I appreciate all of you. Yeah. So I do have a question that I can't find. I saw somebody put it somewhere, and I've been digging over the YouTube and also Discord. So I'm so sorry to find that I can't find it. But somebody was actually asking you, Will, that why is it over on the Windows side you are real testy and short with them about, their quirks of pop-ups and all this kind of stuff. But when you come across all these snags on the Linux side, you're willing to forgive them.
Well, it's because one is new and the bugs, and I haven't seen the same bugs and errors for the last 10 years. And the other one is old, where I have been haunted by the same crappy Microsoft UI and design for the last decade. Look, man, this is an impossible question to answer other than people are irrational, and you're going to have to learn to deal with that. This is about our experiences, not about, we're not doing science here. We're not doing rigorous, unbiased study of whatever. I wouldn't have started on this process if I wasn't already pretty annoyed at Microsoft and the way they've been managing Windows for the last, 5 years, but especially the last year.
But I mean, honestly, I do think, all jokes aside, I think it is okay that you're willing to pound through it, because it is something new, and it's different than dealing with something that you've always dealt with for years and years, and the corporate overlords are kind of raining down on you and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to give a try to something that I don't know. And yes, there's probably more headaches that we've run into on the Linux side than if we just would have kept using Windows. But I personally don't think one is easier than the other. Like we're no matter what, it's going to be hard for us to learn how to use Linux as daily drivers regardless.
I think the dream is that we're taking some pain now to get to a better place in the end, right? Hopefully. This is like, I don't know. What's a good example? It's like when you clean everything out of your house to get everything reorganized and tidy, or when you completely strip down your PC to clean out the whole thing, or what's the good metaphor? It's preventative maintenance, right?
Yeah. But it also makes me think of when I learned DaVinci. I was like, you know what? I am so sick of the crashes and the bugs with Adobe. Like, yes, there are great things Adobe does that DaVinci doesn't do, but And yes, it took a lot for me to switch over and relearn commands and, just the timeline and all the configuration stuff. But when I did, it actually made me a better editor. Yeah. For a lot of reasons and in a lot of ways. And so, it's just different. It's just different. And there's no baggage. Like, maybe in a couple of years there'll be Linux baggage that we're just like, oh gosh, so stupid.
The other thing is that, like, I'm much more likely to forgive jank that an OS comes by honestly versus jank that an OS has to boost make a line go up on a graph for somebody in Redmond. Like if you're thinking like the start menu searching Bing by default, like it's a terrible usability choice, right? Nobody wants that. I keep harping on it. Because, and for folks who don't use Windows, when you type something into the Windows start menu, it sometimes inexplicably, even if you type something that's, say you want to launch Photoshop, so you hit the Windows key and type photo and then hit the enter button, and you launch Photoshop every single day. 1 time out of 5, it pops up a Bing search result for Photoshop instead of
you want to search for Photoshop, right? You don't want to open it. You want to search for it.
And like that only happened because at some point somebody in Microsoft was like, hey, I have a great idea for a way to get our Bing search traffic up a ton. And they leveraged the 2 billion people that have Windows installed to annoy them in order to make their bar go up and to the right, which like that sucks. If somebody who's doing volunteer coding work did something that's janky on this, I'm much more likely to be forgiving of that than something that like Microsoft intentionally degrading the Windows user experience for the start menu to make their like stack rank on their next performance review better. Anyway. Or sometimes organizations make bad decisions for good reasons. Sometimes they make bad decisions for good reasons. I'm more willing to forgive the bad decisions for good reasons than the bad decisions for bad reasons.
Well, and I'll also say I've installed a lot of distributions here.
Yeah.
And man, it is real nice to be like, oh, wow, what's installed by default? Oh, it's real simple. It's not asking me for an account login. It's not asking me to sign up for this or that. You know, like it's just so much. It's just so much more simple.
Yeah,
it reminds me of OSs of the past.
It's like traveling back in time to Windows 7 or Windows XP.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In a good way.
Yeah. In a good way.
Yeah. So a couple more questions here, which I will say, I know there are a lot of questions in here. Like it actually has been a little hard to kind of wade through them. Some of the stuff we've already talked about. And also some of the stuff is like timing related because we were 2 weeks ahead. And then there has been a fair number of people who've posted stuff that's not questions in there. So like
Adam doesn't like it when you post things that aren't questions, guys.
I know, I'm sorry. It's called questions. So here's a good question that I actually would like to address real quick. Maybe we talked about this last time, but Kazuki over on Discord said, upon trying Linux going forward, do you see changing how you evaluate buying hardware based on support? Did we already talk about that last
We
week?
haven't talked about that, but it's a good question.
Oh, okay.
The kind of hardware, so and yes, asterisk, I guess.
Real quick, they're talking about, it seems like they're mostly talking about peripherals. So let me follow. In today's world, every RGB mouse, headset, keyboard wants its own vendor software for the full potential, yada, yada. I don't think they're not talking about hardware in terms of like CPU, GPU, motherboard, laptop, that kind of stuff. I think they're mostly talking about peripherals, which is kind of a weird place. I've been mostly using a laptop and like, yes, I've plugged in. On the trip, I brought a real light Razer mouse that I bring on work trips, which uses a 2.4 gig wireless dongle. It plugged in, it just worked fine. Yes, I wasn't able to map extra things, but that's okay. I don't need to. So I haven't had to use too many stuff, but like you said, you just installed your desktop, Linux on your desktop, and yeah, you got to get all the things that are normally configured set up. So like, I think you're going to hit those pain points of like which pieces of hardware are going to work on Linux or not. I'm
looking at an Elgato Stream Deck right now, the thing with the screen with all the buttons in front of it that is sitting here with the Elgato logo on it. And I'm like, all right, that's how I control my lights and like mic mute and a bazillion other things. I got to figure this out. I did lean over just a second ago to see if my AIO's temperature sensor was displaying the liquid temperature on the screen in Linux. And it is. I think it's probably because I did a warm boot from Windows, so the software that displays that's still on.
No, I think it actually does save it to the physical device.
Sometimes it does. I think on cold boots, I don't get temperature on this one. Yeah, I think something has to happen. So I think it's a Ryujin 3 from Asus that I grabbed when I switched to the 9950 to test something. Yeah.
So, I mean, evaluating future hardware, like, am I going to go to CES and be like, hey, here's this new thing, and I'm going to say that I'm going to ask the PM, what's your Linux support? And they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Linux?
Yeah, go away, nerd.
You know, like, so I don't know. Like, I will have it in the back of my mind, and I will be asking questions, and actually I think it would be a nice thing to add in when they're like, oh, hey, by the way, this does have Linux support, or maybe a better example is that I should try out is that the Fractal Design came out with their new Scape headphones, which is, powered over a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, and the configuration tool is all in the browser. So like like maybe that's something easy to be like, hey, you know what? You can just plug that in because you can configure everything just through the browser
right now live.
Right? Yeah. So like I do, if anything, I do appreciate that more vendors seem to be going the way of having things configurable in a browser, which they're not doing it because of Linux users, but it'll have the knockoff effect of being better with Linux, I assume.
Yeah. I like, for me, for hardware I buy, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Linux support. Like I was pleasantly surprised to see that this webcam, which is an Insta360 Link 2, the one with the little gimbal on it, it's a kind of goofy webcam. It just popped up and like it has the Windows settings that I've locked in saved in firmware, so it just worked when I turned it on. I didn't have to do any weird configuration or anything like that. I have no idea how I'm going to aim the gimbal on this thing, because I guarantee you there's no Linux drivers for that. But I guess I should put that on my homework for next week, is to investigate the webcam on the desktop. The other stuff like the Stream Deck, there's like if you buy popular enough hardware and it's possible to be supported, it seems like somebody has gone through the work. There's a 3 or 4 different Stream Deck projects that I've seen already. There's one that's called Stream Deck Plus software that's for the knob version of the Stream Deck. There's a bunch of others. And are they as compatible, and do they have the big plugin architecture that Elgato has for their default Stream Decks? Probably not. Is it going to do the stuff that I actually need to do? Like, let me change the levels of my lights, or more accurately, trigger a Home Assistant scene, which is what I use to change the levels on my lights in my office? Probably. It'll probably be fine. I'll figure it out. That's the Stream Deck is on the list, I guess, for next week too. My list for next week's getting long. I'm gonna have to pare it down.
There you go. The last thing I want to address is there's been a lot of questions about games.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, how is it running games? You know, how do you feel about XYZ game not being able to have Linux support, the controller stuff, Wine, all of this kind of stuff? I'll say, like, for me at least, like there's actually other coverage out there right now when it comes to gaming and Linux. Like I feel that's where a lot of people are putting their effort into, at least on YouTube. So I'm a little bit more wanting to figure out the just daily life and work kind of stuff. The gaming will come. I want to get to the gaming stuff for sure, but like I feel like that's not a priority for me, like, personally.
Well, so it's one of the reasons I wanted to put Linux back on the desktop PC is so that I can, because like my laptop it's a Lunar Lake and it's capable of doing some like gaming stuff, but it's not like I have better portable devices to play games on in my house, right? Like my default portable gaming device is a Switch 2 or a Steam Deck. I'm not going to play games on that laptop unless I'm sitting at the office and I'm absolutely dead bored and I'm waiting on you for something. Not that ever happens.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
The desktop, on the other hand, I do play a lot of games on, and so, you know, everything from like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. Fortnite's obviously out because they don't support Linux, I assume, so that you can't play Fortnite on a Steam Deck. Stuff like Helldivers, and I'm actually really curious to see how the Linux scheduler for dual CCD chips handles some games that I've had problems with in Windows lately. So like Counter-Strike and Helldivers have both been really hitchy on the 9950X3D. And I'm wildly curious to see if the Linux thread scheduler does a better job with that. Linux kernel does a better job with that than Windows does on the same exact hardware. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got a lot of homework. We're still going. Before we wrap it up, one last thing: temperature check. Are you ready to ditch Windows or Linux and walk away?
Not quite yet. Getting closer on the laptop, though. I'm going to say the laptop, like I'm not doing the boot shim on the laptop. I'm a little afraid to boot into Windows because there's going to be updates, and I'm pretty sure at least one of them is going to jack up the bootloader. So
you got to do it for content, man.
That machine's working real good, Adam. I don't want to mess it up. I'm getting closer on the laptop though. The laptop, it's when I was talking to my wife about this the other day. She's like, "Hey, how's that thing going?" And I was like, which thing? And she said the Linux thing. And I was like, oh, you're engaging with stuff that I make at work.
I thought she was talking about the CRT thing.
We don't want to talk about that. It's become, I actually really like how kind of the bare bones nature of GNOME on that laptop means that it's like a really light distraction environment for me to write in, which it turns out is fabulous. Now the problem is futzing with Linux and getting it to work the way I want is an infinite distraction, worse than any video game I've ever played, I think. So, omelets and eggs, I don't know what your metaphor is here. It's a mixed bag is what what I would have sent back to the whoever wrote it if they sent that to me in a review. So yeah, I'm not. How about you? Are you ready to ditch Linux and go back to Windows full time, run to the sweet embrace of Redmond?
No, I mean, once again, I'm a little disappointed in myself for how much I relied on Windows on the work trip.
Yeah, me too.
I was hoping I was able to get out of that comfort zone, but that's okay. Either way, like I wasn't like, oh man, wow, you know what? I really miss Windows. This whole Linux thing, it's boring. No. I want to push through it. I'm not ready to go either way, but I'm definitely not ready to like go back to the arms of Windows and forget this Linux thing.
Let's do a little experiment here. If you are disappointed in Adam for going back to the loving embrace of Microsoft on his trip, just post a devil emoji. That's it. The whole comment is just one devil emoji. If you want to support him and you think he did the best that he could, given all the other considerations and the work that he had to do, and like you think he did a good job, and he like chuck on the shoulder, pick it up. You're gonna do better next time, buddy.
Pick it up, kid.
Give him a hug emoji, and
there you go. Rub some dirt on it. It'll be fun.
Just you're like, look. You know what? We all every failure is an opportunity to learn a little bit more, Adam. That's the thing to remember. I'm going to put a hug emoji in. People can put the devils if they want. That's all I'm saying. Let's see a lot of hugs in the chat for Adam.
Yeah, no, and hugs to everyone for this journey. We continue to get comments of people saying they love it and they're here for it. I'm kind of dumbfounded by the amount of listens and views we've gotten. So thank you so much. Yeah. We're in it for the long haul. We're going to keep going it. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Thank you, Will, for helping me out.
Thank you, Adam, still for having me here.
Yeah. And so check back next week for episode 5, I guess. And I will say, now that we're on this normal schedule, we are going to get a little interrupted the next week after. But that's okay. We have a plan and also a special guest. I think our first special guest is lined up for 2 weeks for now. So we need to figure out me and you, Will, if that's going to be an extra episode within the week.
We can talk about that.
We make that the episode of the week. So check back though. Yeah. Subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. No, it's the same thing. Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, and anywhere you get your podcasts, but also a lot of people watching us on YouTube. And I have seen the comments of people asking if we can show things while we're talking. We're talking through if we could do that. We also don't want to like leave out the audio listeners. So it's something we're exploring a little bit.
I mean, I think the other answer to that is that we're going to be posting more Linux stuff on the PCWorld channel as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So keep an eye on that.
Believe me, I'm currently working on a couple Linux scripts as we speak that I want to post in the next month.
I think you should edit those in Blender is my advice. The Blender video editor. Yeah. It's a fully featured non-linear video editor in Blender.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But no. Anyway. Thanks everybody. See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.